M. Seaton, Heart Restored, Finding True Fulfillment in Christ. In this book, we embark on a journey that explores the depths of human longing and the pursuit of true fulfillment. The Voice of the Holy Spirit by author Stephanie M. Seaton. In this book there are numerous testimonies of supernatural provisions and instruction, because she listened to the voice of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is our comforter and guide.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Stephanie M. Seaton Sunday Show. I am so happy to have you tuned in tonight. Tonight we have an amazing show. We have a guest that has oh my God, his bio is amazing. I don't know what Mr. Michael hasn't done in the industry, in the spoken word, in the poetry and writing. Listen, tonight we have Michael Guinn in the building. Let me add him to the stage. Welcome. So listen, oh my God, you have done some amazing things and are still doing some amazing things. I had the honor of meeting Mr. Michael about 2 months ago, I believe. We met at an event in the Dallas, at the Como Center. Actually, it was the Dallas Como Center. And I was actually a vendor there, and he was actually the host and the MC of that event. And then we ran into each other again at the Doc Bookshop. No, I think I met you at the Doc Bookshop first, the Friday night. It was like the gathering. Right. It was the gathering. Yeah, it was the gathering. And I was like, who is this man walking in here in all black? And he had his, what do you call your stick?
Yeah, my cane.
Yeah, you had your cane and you came in all black. I was like, who is this man? They was like, that is Michael. I was like, okay. So listen, he has a really big personality, warm heart, just amazing person. We met that weekend at the events, and after watching him host the events, I was like, wow. My co-author and I, Rodriguez Underwood, we have a book launch coming up at the Doc Bookshop Saturday, August the 3rd. And I said, listen, Michael, I'm gonna need you to be the MC for the event, because I knew you were going to bring life and excitement. And thank you so much for taking me up on that offer. So I am so happy to have you here tonight. Listen, internationally renowned content creator, professionally high energy MC. Guinn Entertainment, founder, CEO of Uplift Your Life, several 501c3 businesses. You've got mental health, you've got wellness, performance arts, 2023 National Spoken Award winning host. I know you just recently got a new, what was the 2024 award you just got not too long ago that we were voting on? What was that?
Man of the Year.
Man of the Year.
It's
Yes.
Angela.
I mean, yes, with Angela. And that, I mean, that is amazing in itself. Listen, the list goes on and on and on. He has had some amazing accomplishments: actor, playwright, streaming on Amazon, Peacock, Netflix, Tubi, YouTube, Roku, a member of the NAACP Image Awards, host of 8 ongoing open mics and 10 annual showcases. I'm also going to be seeing you at the Trinity River event. You're going to be hosting that as well. So listen, he is the man to watch. He has so much stuff going on tonight, and I am humbled for you to be here tonight. This will be the longest conversation we've had because you are always emceeing and you always all over the place.
Yes, ma'am.
So listen, my very first question, would you say?
Having fun, having fun.
Yeah, having fun, having fun. So listen, Michael, my very first question that I usually like to ask all of the guests, and I'm going to ask you, who is Michael Guinn? Tell us who you are.
Um, Michael Guinn holds a bachelor's in social work from Stephen F. Austin. He a master's in social work from UT Arlington and a PhD from the acclaimed Survivors Academy of Them Streets University. He is a voting member of he's a voting member of the NAACP Image Awards, a 2024 Prayze Factor Awards nominee, and recently completed criteria for Recording Academy's consideration. They call him the spoken word savant, the conference whisperer, the Spengali of symposium, the sensei of summits, the maestro of moderators. I want you to please welcome the one and only speaker, poet, author, activist, appropriately named the hardest working man in the moment from East Texas, Mike Guinn. Bam.
And that is why he gets all the MC jobs. Listen, that was amazing. That was amazing. I mean, just the energy that you bring again. You can't be around you or in your presence and not laugh because you definitely keep a good tone in the room. And so, just so you know, guys, I'm gonna put in the comment section here some information on how you can get in touch with Michael after the interview. I'm putting this here, and so that will be in the link, so feel free to chime in. You know, we are streaming live on Facebook as well as my YouTube channel, the Stephanie M. Seaton Sunday Show. Feel free to chime in. We will answer your questions and show your comments as we go along. Okay. So listen, how did you actually get into writing? Because I know you've got your books, you've got poetry, you got spoken word. The event that we were at together, you literally wrote a poem just from asking random people in the room to give you a word, and you literally took all those random words and put it into poetry, like right there on the spot. So, well, before I ask you how did you get into it, how did you know this was something you wanted to do?
I didn't know it was something I wanted to do. It's just something that I say all the time. I didn't choose poetry. Poetry chose me. And
Wow.
that's pretty much it. That's how it happened.
Yeah.
Um, I worked for a long time as a CPS investigator here in Texas. And one day I came in from a really rough investigation. I sat down at my
Mhm.
desk and I put my head down and I started crying, Stephanie. And when I lifted my head, I had a pen in my hand. And the
Yeah.
very first thing I wrote was, "What good is my master's degree if I can't be the master of me?" And I've been writing ever since.
Wow. Wow. Oh, wow. That's deep. Okay. Okay. So you were actually a CPS investigator as well. I knew you were a social worker. So yeah, you've seen all facets of the world of child abuse and things like that, which is what our book is about, and then the event that you're going to be hosting. Okay.
Right.
So that kind of got you into the idea of writing, and then um the words, do you find that you dream the words? Do they just hit you on the spot? Like, how does it flow for you? Do you have to really sit, and what's your process is what I'm asking. Like, how do you come up, like, for me with my books, I dream my books.
You know
I
what?
literally dream it and imagine it. What's your process?
And for me, it's pure inspiration. If I'm listening to a song, if I'm driving down the street and I see, a homeless man with one leg and with a cup, or if I see a movie and like Harriet or 12 Years a Slave or Brave or whatever it is, if I'm inspired in that
Yeah.
moment, I start writing, and then the momentum just kind of takes over, and I don't stop until I finish that, get that out of my system, whatever that is. So that's, for me, it's
Uh,
just pure inspiration.
Yeah, inspiration right there on the spot. I love that. So how did you get, okay, so you start out with the writing. How did you move from writing to actually acting? How did you decide to get into that realm?
Well, I moved to Sacramento, California. And while living in Sacramento, I was searching for open mics. So I wandered into this room with three people sitting at a table, and they let me know that it was not an open mic, but an open audition. I must have misread the little Sacramento Bee newspaper ad. I was about to leave, and they said, "Well, since you're here, let me hear a poem." And so when I finished the poem, there wasn't a dry eye in the room, and they cast me for the lead in this
Wow.
play for the prestigious Sacramento Theater Company, and the rest is history. I've been, doing things like that
Wow.
ever since. So
Look at God.
my
Right there.
first
Oh,
au-
I mean,
my
you,
my first audition, my first lead, and I did that for 2 years with the company before I moved
yeah.
back to Texas. Yeah,
Wow. I mean, you talk about divine setup. You thought you were just wandering in the room.
right.
Wow. That is amazing. Okay. So I want to, I have another question I want to ask you, but before I lead to that question, tell me about faith. How important of a part did faith play in all of this?
Oh, you already know faith is the primary ingredient for any mode of success in everything. Even the faith to go to sleep and wake up in the morning. That's faith. That's the simplest form of it. The faith
Yeah.
is that I'm gonna breathe the next breath I take.
Yeah.
The faith that, come July 23rd at 7:40 p.m., I'm
Yeah.
gonna do this interview because it is and so you have to have faith that all things are going to work out, where there's no
Yeah.
interference, there's no car accident, no family issues,
Yeah.
no streaming platform issues. So
Yeah.
faith is simply that, putting all your eggs in one basket and knowing that he's going to take care of it if you just believe he will. And that's, to me, that's
Right.
faith, and that's what that guides almost everything I do. I just don't never think that something is not going to do right, because I know that I'm guided by a higher power. That's my energizer, battery
Yeah.
right there. Him, and
Yeah.
and faith, and trust, and knowing that, this divine whatever it is that is in me is from him, and so I have faith that since he gave it to me, it's gonna work out. So, I don't care if it's three people or 300
Yeah.
people. Get the
Yeah.
same. You get the same Mike Guinn,
Um,
because I believe in what he has put in me.
you know what? I'm a testament to that as well, because when I first got started, I was looking at numbers, but then I realized it's not about the numbers, because I went to an event most recently that there were 4 or 5 people in the room, and two of the four it was an appointed time for them to have an encounter with the Lord, and the Lord just used me as a vessel. And I was like, wow, so we definitely can't get caught up in the numbers. When the
Right.
Lord sets it up, he always makes sure the right people in the room. And I must say, when I called it the mud dock, the mud hook, right? But when I came to the mud hook event that you had a couple months ago, I had never really been around open mic or poetry. I really thought all poems had to rhyme. I kind of had a real narrow view of what poetry, really was about. But I tell you, I was so moved that, remember, I reached out. I was like, I think I'm gonna start writing again, because
There you go.
I used to write poetry back when I was in high school, and I lost a lot of the work that I had done. But it inspired me to get started again, and so I've been kind of working on a few pieces. One of these,
All right.
I'm gonna let you know ahead of time.
Okay.
I'm getting built up for it.
As soon as you finish 3 pieces, you are my
Uh-huh.
feature. All I
So I
ask for
need.
my features is to have 3 solid poems. You don't have to
I
have
got
them memorized, but I need 3 poems that you be my feature.
Okay. I got to work on 3 solid pieces. Okay, I'm working on.
Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
actually be accompanying Michael at his event this Friday night. You're going to be at the Mud Hook. And what time does the event start on Friday night?
It for the last 4 years, it has started at 8 o'clock. We get there around about 7:15, start setting up, and then around about 7:30, 7:40, people start showing up. It's an outdoor
Yeah.
event, and it's an amazing event. And you know
Yeah.
what? Even with the weather, it's still, we have a huge
Good
number of people
turnout.
come out. You know what I'm saying? So it's a free event, and unfortunately, next month is our last event there at that location. They are actually moving to an indoor facility in Oak Cliff. So 4 years of doing that down there it's been amazing, but it's still going to be
Yeah.
free. It's going to be inside. That way we don't get rained out, snowed out, or heated out. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be incredible. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, if you are in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and you need something great and amazing to do on Friday night, you need to be at the Mud Hook, because the poems, I mean, when the people would start speaking with their different poems, I mean, you could have heard a pin drop. I was really like starstruck by the different poems of poetry, and that was the night, Michael, that my son had his books.
Right. Right.
And he was making his little money with his books.
Making that
So
money.
that yeah, he was making that money. And so that was me asking you about your faith, is kind of leading into the next question, of how do you think that you have gotten all these opportunities? Because I mean, I know it's divine inspiration that it plays a very big part in it. But how do you think you've gotten all these opportunities? I'm gonna ask you anyway.
Folks, you know what, Stephanie, folks ask me this all the time, and I tell them that I am built to simply prepare for success. I have faith that if I put together something, that it's at already at a level because I believe in what he has put in me, that's
Yeah,
going to attract attention. All I can
yeah,
say is that my success is a combination of being in the right place at the right time and strategically seeking situations where I can showcase my skills as a
yeah,
high energy contributor to the success of any event. You know what? I consider myself to be the king of creative connections. I mean, meaning that I believe that you should always shoot your shot. I'm old school.
yeah,
I respond
yeah,
to Facebook posts, newspaper ads, Eventbrite
yeah,
notifications. I constantly scan the web and simply I'll just send a text or an email or a message. All they can do is say no. I'll introduce
right,
myself and tell them what I do, and I try to do my research and kind of create my pitches that complement the event or the conference or whatever it is. Then I make myself affordable. I lowball myself a little bit intentionally to get in, and then I kick butt. So the next time they get me, they pay Mike Guinn because
yeah,
they've seen me. So I'm like, oh, I become a walking billboard, and that's my little formula for success. Is I am a walking billboard. If I show up on time, I start the event on time, I'm able to, fix any problem that come up because I know how to fill in the gaps. And that has gotten me into so many spaces that normally, I wouldn't have gotten into, even if it's
right,
LGBTQ situations, synagogues, mosque, I just I try to fit, and I try to be a professional, and I try to be an example of, an African American man who knows how to just be himself, and
Yeah.
not try to overtake the event, not try to overshadow. I just make sure it runs smooth and make sure
Yeah.
everybody has fun, no matter how serious the topic. And then we ease our way in and ease our way out. And next thing you know, people are selling books. The event is a success. And here I am 12 years later doing the same thing. So I believe in that. And that has been my formula, just to show up and show out.
Yeah. Well, guess what? It's working for you. It's obviously working for you because I have seen a little bit of your schedule and all these events all over the place. So it is obviously working for you. So congrats on all the successes, all of the major accomplishments. That you are doing. And I think, just like you said, it's all about that mindset. You've got the mindset that once you put something into play, it's automatically going to be a success. And, the power of the mind and the thought process, you know what I'm saying? What the Bible says, the power of life and death is in the tongue. So if you've already made that confession, you're walking it out by faith. I mean, it has no choice but to come forward. And so I think that that also is playing a part in your success and the things that you've got going. Now, I am very interested, which I talked to you a little bit about this, in this Gospel Choice Music Awards. Of course, I don't sing, only to
I
myself,
don't either.
but only to myself. Now, when I was growing up, I sung in the choir. Let me say that I can sing. It's just, it's been so long. I will probably be alto, tenor, and soprano. But tell us a little bit about the Gospel Choice Music Awards that are going to be coming up. And then I know that you won a Prayze Factor Award. Kind of tell me a little bit about those.
Well, I didn't win the Prayze Factor. I made it to the semifinals, and
Okay.
I wasn't a finalist, but I made it past round one, round two, and got into the round where the execs and members of the board vote. So how I got into and the Gospel Choice Awards is happening, but I don't know how, I don't know what's going to happen with that. But the bottom line is, all you can do. I have a friend. Her name is Antoinette Titus, and
Okay.
she's from Turl, but she lives
Okay.
in Los Angeles. And I
Okay.
hosted an event for her with Shucky Ducky the comedian years ago, but she remembered my energy, so she had me come and do some things with her. So anything that she gets involved in, uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, Grammy consideration, Prayze Factor, Gospel Choice, whatever. She says, Mike, I'm gonna nominate you. So what she does is nominate me, and so
Yeah.
and the thing is, you can nominate anybody, but in order for you to get to the next round, you have to have something that they'll consider. So it just so
Right.
happens that with all the events that I've done and all
Mm-hmm.
the NAACP stuff, all the spoken word awards, all the hosting, I know so many people that I have a catalog that they can go back and look online and
Mm-hmm.
see that
Mm-hmm.
I've done what I said I've done. And so that
Mm-hmm.
helps me get into the later rounds of events. So that, yeah, that's how I've gotten into these opportunities. That I once somebody nominate me, I have
Mm-hmm.
to submit the information to match the
Yeah.
criteria. And because I've done so much, like right now, I can say I've worked with you not once, not twice, but three times. I've worked with the great Stephanie Seaton, author and authoress or whatever. So I can put that down and say I've worked with you, and then they go and
Right.
see, well, who is this Stephanie Seaton? Then they see you doing stuff. So you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah. Yeah.
the thing is though, the thing is though is that if a lot of people, if they all they had was, they did a poem at cousin Ray Ray's church 25 years ago, and cousin, I mean, I'm not dogging that. I'm
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
for the next level, and for anybody that's trying to get to the next level, you have to understand that it's layers that you have to keep building on to go up, up, up. Because that up here, they know you done all stuff down here, but what have you done
Yeah.
here? So
Yeah. It's got to be big.
and so that's the reason why I grind so hard, because you never know who's watching, you never know who's looking.
Oh,
So there
I
you go.
get it. I get it. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh, I do. I'm always on the road. If I'm not on the road, I'm on live somewhere. So trust me, I get it. This all has a
Yes,
point
ma'am.
and a purpose. I'm going somewhere.
Mhm.
But let me tell us a little bit about the calling. I saw that you're on the wait list for Grammy consideration for your new album, The Calling. Tell us about The Calling.
Where the calling is, so again, Antoinette Titus.
Okay.
Again, is a sister, and again, an East Texas sister who believes that East Texans have that talent. We got skills. We
Yeah.
got a lot of brothers. We got a lot of brothers from, from East Forest Whitaker, Jamie Foxx. With a lot of talent. So
Yeah.
she follows and believes that you should do whatever. So I did a poem that was of a Christian nature, but it was just that one poem. So she submitted me to be a voting member of the Recording Academy, and I
Okay.
submitted. But in order to have that criteria, I had to have an album. Well, that means I had to have an album of 13 tracks by December 31st of last year. So what did I do? I drove down to East Texas, and my son Gerald and I put together that album in one day. And then we submitted that album, and now it's
Yeah.
and now it's streaming everywhere. It's getting, it's it was just amazing. But again, I started out with just one poem, but because I knew the
Yeah.
consideration was you have to have an album that's streaming, you have to have this, you have to have that. I enlisted my son, who is a great producer,
Yeah.
and he helped me put that album together, get it streaming on all the platforms. Pandora, you can put it, you can play it anywhere. The
Yeah.
Instagram, you type of song, backing song, you can type up the Calling or Michael Guinn, and I'll come up. So that was huge for me. But that's how that happened,
Yeah.
and that's how it always happens. So what
Yeah.
happens is if I get in as a member of the academy, then the criteria is you have to have Stephanie Seaton, who is not a member, recommend you. Then you have to have Antoinette, who is a member, recommend you, and then
Gotcha.
they'll add you. So if I'm a member, and remember now, this is for spoken word. I don't sing, but I'm
Yeah.
in these categories where it's music. We dominate
Right.
it. But
Right.
spoken word is a category in all these categories. So that's how it happened. It's just I just got ready because I got a calling.
Yeah, yes, you do. Yes, you do. And I just discovered here in the last day or so that I actually go to church with your son, Gerald Johnson.
What?
I actually attend College Hill Missionary Baptist Church in Tyler, Texas.
All right.
And your son is actually one of our musicians, and so that is amazing. Small world, small world.
Man.
Um, so let me ask you, um, what is next for you? I mean, you have so many amazing things that you're doing. What what is the next plateau for you, Michael? I know you probably have set so many goals for yourself, and it sounds like most of them you've already accomplished them. But what is next for you?
Well, what's next for me? I want to continue this acting journey. I want to get better at it because, again, you reach the ceiling of local stuff. Now, listen, I've always had a great memory. I can memorize stuff overnight, and I can hit it. I take direction well, but I am not, and I would never say I'm an actor. I've won awards for it, but that's
Yeah.
because I'm just high energy, and it just worked out that way. But what's next for me is to be more proficient in my craft as an actor, to be an actual paid full-time speaker.
Okay.
Right now, right now I'm trying to get my press get together and send that out to all the colleges. So I want to, and then after that, I'd like to get a publicist and somebody who can help, guide me in that process. I don't know. I've reached, my level of understanding. Now I need someone who is proficient in the jargon that they have to speak to, colleges and deans and secretaries and
Right.
administrate. So I don't know what to say. I be done talk myself out of stuff. So as good as I
Yeah,
as good as
I
I
get.
think I yeah, because I'm a man of the moment. I like to get in
Yeah.
and read the audience, and then I just innately have this way of kind of figuring it out on the spot, using the
Okay.
room, and
Yeah.
and so so. But I don't want to hit or miss.
No, I
The
got
next level for me is to be someone who has who knows exactly what he's doing and not just gotten lucky that I've overpowered them, but
you. Yeah.
I need to be consistent
Intentional.
in.
Yeah.
There you go. So next step for me is to book Grammy, do some professional acting, maybe get a SAG membership.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
that way I can attend some of these Academy Award stuff. I just like to have fun. I just want to be in the room. I don't have to be the winner. I don't have to be the star. I don't have to be the spotlight on me. I just want to be in the room. And if they
Yeah.
say, and is there anybody in the room who can recite a poem? I can. I just want to be
Yeah.
there. I
Yeah.
want but you can't be there unless you do all the steps and you earn the
Mhm.
right to do that. So that's the next step for me, is just to be proficient in all areas of what I've been dabbling in. Because this is the 21 years of dabbling is what I've been doing. I want to know intentionally that I want TED Talks, but I can't do any of that stuff. I'm at the door. I'm knocking at
Yeah.
the door,
Yeah.
but I'm not there because I am missing some things professionally that I know I need to do. And that's what I tell all these other folks who think they've arrived just because they got a stand ovation at church 10 years ago.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's more work to be done.
Yeah.
You owe it to the craft to be the best at it. And so I understand that. So all I can do is just be a walking example of learning. Even at my age, I'm still
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we will never be perfect at it, but we continually
Yeah.
strive for perfection. And it's so important networking and being in the room. Like you said, being in the room is so important. I find myself, going to events that have nothing to do about writing and books, but it's important for me to network with people and to be in those rooms to just see what's going on because it's so insightful and you never know who you're going to meet. What would you tell inspiring writers? What would you say to them as a word of encouragement, Michael?
I would tell inspiring writers to always challenge themselves to find not only new things to write about, but new ways to write about them. And then
Mhm.
don't be afraid to think outside the box when it comes to getting their work out there. You just mentioned that. You go to
Mhm.
events, don't have anything to do with writing, but you go and you network. This has
Mhm.
worked well for me, and I'm pretty sure it worked well for you. So, yeah, just start thinking outside the box. The world is changing, it's evolving. We have to evolve with it by not doing cookie cutter stuff that might have worked 10 years ago, 1 year ago. But today is different. It's just a different climate. We have to be aware that the world is like a room. You have to be able to read it and then adjust
Mhm.
to it. And I
Mhm.
would tell any aspiring writer, just read the room. Look what's happening around you. That's the advantage of doing. When I ask the audience about words, I'm
Mhm.
gauging where they are. If I get 75% blessings, grace,
Mhm.
Christ, faith, then I know that's a more of a spiritual. And I try to make sure I present work and present myself in a
Right.
way that's going to complement what I've just. So that's we got to read the room. That's my way of reading the room.
Yeah, yeah, that's always very important to read the room. And just show up open. I say show up open because, like you said, going to different events, meeting different people, just like you wandered into that spot, and, and that turned into be something major for you. What if you
Yeah,
hadn't been open? What if you had turned around and walked out? What if you would have missed out on your opportunity or your blessing? So
right.
we have to show up and we have to be ready. Tell me a little bit about your family, Michael. I don't know much about your family, so kind of tell us a little bit about your family. What was it like for Mr. Michael growing up in Jacksonville, Texas?
Well. We might need security, but um, so I was one of five brothers. Two have passed, three are still living. My mom is still living. My dad is gone.
Okay.
I was kind of a goody two shoes, know it all kid. I
Okay.
could speak Spanish and thought I was smart. I probably only knew about 5 words, but to me that was like, I know more than you know. And so and
Yeah.
so and I also have a survivor of childhood trauma and childhood abuse, and so I went to live with my grandmother, and that's where everything changed for me, is having the structure. I mean, your grandma would come in. You come in and at 4 o'clock in the morning and say, "Get up, boy! Half the day is gone." And you out there working and you know how it is,
Yeah.
sipping
Yeah.
coffee from a saucer. So I got some work
Yeah.
ethic from her, and all
Yeah.
this would be before I even went to school. But so just a very small family. I'm the only college graduate with a bachelor's and a master's degree. My brother who's passed did get his associates. I was a pole vaulter in high school, and that got me out of my hometown, and that was my
Mhm.
ticket out. And
Okay.
I didn't like being confined, so I did what I did is I did the exact opposite of what I saw my father do. I didn't hit women. I didn't cheat on women. I didn't steal from women. I
Yeah.
didn't beat my boys. I didn't beat. So I never had nobody tell me, don't do this. I just knew that it hurt me, I'm not going to hurt anybody else. And in order to do that, just do the opposite of what you saw. And then that was my template. And so I used that to kind of create this social momentum for myself, that is, work served me very well. I'm not perfect, like you said. I've made some mistakes, but I'm here. And so
Yeah.
lefties, Texas. Always try to do some things. Like I'm in Lufkin every month for the last 10 years doing open mics. I'm in Nacogdoches doing things. I try to. I do the annual MLK spoken word event in Tyler. The news covers it. I've tried to take things back to Jacksonville, but the city isn't ready for that type of outpouring of self-reflection, because and so, but all I can do is try. All I
It's
can do
important.
is try to go back home. That's what I
Yeah.
call it. Go back home, and home has to be ready to receive you. And so I left home at 12, stayed with my grandmother, and because of her, I like to say that college and school and all that stuff appealed to me more than the streets, and that's where I am now.
Yeah. Well, that's a blessing. Thank God for grandmas, right?
Right.
Yeah. Thank God for grandmas. Well, let me ask you, when I say the word healing, empowerment, and transformation, which one of those words stands out the most to you? And tell me why. Share with us why.
Transformation. And the
Okay.
reason why is because in order for you to transform, you had to experience some type of healing that allowed you to empower yourself.
Yeah.
So you transform from the healing and the empowering, you transform into the next level of a person who now can use the healing to empower others. And
Yeah.
that's what I had to do. I had to transform from a victim to a survivor and now a thriver, and and
I love
and,
that. Yeah. I
and
love
be
it.
yeah, and be a man who is willing to be vulnerable and transparent. I think that's why God gave me poetry, because that was a way for me to do that. Because before that, I never wrote
Expression.
anything, you know.
Yeah.
So
So before you started doing poetry, did you have a way of self-expression, or did you kind of discover that that was your outlet once you got going? Were you very expressive before your writing and poetry?
I was expressive, but what I did, I used to make paper airplanes. I was really good at that. I was just a very mischievous kid. I used to unroll firecrackers and make my own little itty bitty sticks dynamite. I made my own. I made my, and I hated roaches. I made my own roach spray. Of course, it took, it peeled the skin off everything else too. And but I've
Oh,
always been very adventurous. I like to
yeah.
hunt and be an outdoors person. I loved westerns, and I always emulated campfires, and I was a Boy
Yeah.
Scout, and so I found nerdy creative things to do to occupy my time. But mainly what I did is I would pick up cans, bottles. I do the grit. Back then they had grit newspaper. I used to deliver grit newspaper. I know that's for your time. You don't even know anything about that. But
I
grit
don't know about
newspaper, I know, I know. And it's like a paper boy going door to door, and I would deliver those. I did, what green stamps. You remember them green stamps, don't you? You know about them green stamps? S&H green
that.
stamps. Anyway, I was
Oh,
a
from like B Mart.
yeah, and like S&H green stamps. You could
Yeah,
collect
like
them.
from the grocery store, right?
There you go. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was I was I was a kid that hustled and did it, whatever he did, and that preoccupied a lot of my time because I was very creative in how I found ways to, because we were poor, so I found ways to buy my own clothes and take care of my stuff, because I was a very poor kid and I stood out of school as a poverty kid, a kid from poverty, and that led to some self-esteem issues. And so once I just discovered pole vaulting, the rest was history. I was able to pour myself into that, and that was my ticket out of my hometown. So, but no,
Yeah.
nothing literary at all.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's nice to hear. You see people and you see the glitz and the glam, but it's nice to know the story of how they got to where they are. So thank you so much, Michael, for being open and transparent tonight, because I'm learning so much, about you. And like I said, you are this amazing entrepreneur, all these titles, all these labels, but to hear your story of humble beginnings, it's even more impactful. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now let's talk a little bit about CEO, founder, owner, at the Lab Mental Health Think Tank. I know I have seen you promote several mental health events. And I'm seeing now that you are the owner, CEO, and founder. Tell us a little bit about what kind of directed you to get into this area and create this organization, and kind of what you're doing with that organization.
Well, I'm not doing as much with that organization as I'd like, mainly because I've cross pollinated with Mike Guinn Entertainment, and I'm able to do a lot of things and meet a lot of people like you doing that.
Okay.
But I created the Lab Mental Health Think Tank because we used to meet every month, and it was a way to get folks who didn't know there was a black therapist here and a black social worker here, and I was trying to get create a network where we all knew about each other and open. We tried to normalize talking about mental health because that
Right.
is not a normalized. So I created that to kind of create a platform to normalize talking about our mental health.
Yeah.
Not to keep it a secret anymore. And so from that, we created so many different events. Weekly gatherings, retreats. We did a lot of stuff with that. But now I do a lot of that stuff as a actual social worker at my job, and as part of Mike Guinn Entertainment, I'm able to do a lot of that with different literary organizations. So
Right.
we don't dabble as much, but that was a springboard for me, and I got into that because I am a social worker, um,
Hmm.
and I wanted to make sure that if someone was reluctant to talk about mental health and all they needed was to talk to someone that looked like them, then that was a way of us connecting through that
Yeah.
platform. So that's why I developed that.
Yeah, making sure that they knew there were some options, and
Right.
that matters. And that matters, especially like you said, in our culture. And I talk a lot about things that have happened in our families. That what happens in this room, what happens in this house, all that this stays in the house stuff. And so many times it's not only the six, sexual and molestations and rapes, but it's also the mental health issues. We know that cousin such and such is not quite right.
Right.
We know that uncle such and such is not quite right, and everybody knows it, but everybody just pretends that
Yes.
nothing's yeah, yeah. And then when something does happen with cousin such and such or uncle such and such, it's like, what are we going to do now? But if we were be more open and proactive, right, then we could get ahead of those things. So mental health is very important, and um, I salute your work in that area. We need more work like that for the mental health community. Now, let me ask you about the Texas Speak Now movement. Are you still working with that? I know that you're the founder, director, CEO of the Texas Speak Now movement. Tell us a little bit about that.
The Texas Speak Now movement was something that I created to make sure that there was a platform um, for Texas poets and spoken word artists to have a way of. I created events through that because I did a lot of things with domestic violence, a lot of things with male trauma, a lot of things with HIV awareness, lupus awareness. Uh, um, um, and just a lot of those. So I was creating events through the Texas Speak Now movement to give people an opportunity to use that as a springboard to have those conversations and to do events, to do a lot of spoken word events like Speak Now. We used to have a
Mhm.
speakeasy, a Speak Now. So that worked very well for a long time
Mhm.
to get people to come out and have their voice. It was all about speak up. You have a voice. So I
Mhm.
created that, and it's a platform I still use to get the word out there, and still have a lot of people that follow and support that platform. And we raised a lot of money, through that platform as well. And mainly for youth creative writing, youth mental health, homelessness, and working with our women who have been rescued from human trafficking. So we still utilize that platform. We partner with a lot of other different groups through
Mhm.
me to make sure we continue to have events and opportunities for them to come and just share. And to be honest, maybe 50% of the audience, because of I work with so many different mental health and social work agencies, the most
Mhm.
of the audience come because they feel safe. They know
Yeah.
that it's going to be a safe environment, that I'm going to protect the space. And so a lot of them come, and some of them speak for the very first time because they feel safe in that space. And so the
Yeah.
Texas Speak Now movement, it epitomizes that very thing. Is we create safe and supportive environments so that people can come and speak now.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Um, I'm listening to everything that you're saying, and just thinking about your platforms as a whole. And what's coming to my thoughts are, so many times people don't have a voice, and if they, they think they have a voice, but they don't have the opportunity to use it. Let's say that.
Right.
You have been blessed not only to have a voice, but to have the ability to know how to use it, and you're using it for common good. So I salute you for that, Mr. Michael. I think you're doing an amazing job giving people the opportunity of expression. Because I mean, I know for myself personally, I thought I had a voice, but I realized I just got a voice like in the last year. I just got a voice and started actually standing up for myself and speaking my thoughts
Right.
and telling my story. It's only been in the last year, and so hearing people like you that encourage people to use their voice, and being in rooms where people speak openly about their thoughts and feelings and emotions, we need more of this. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. It has been amazing talking to you tonight, Mr. Michael Guinn, author, poet, MC, CEO, founder, all of it. I can't even go down the whole list, but it has
Having
been
fun.
amazing. Yeah, it has been amazing talking to you tonight. Listen, we have only got a few more minutes. If you have been waiting to ask a question, if you have a comment for Mr. Michael, you may want to go ahead and chime in, share your question, your comment. We will show it across the screen. As we get ready to come to a close, Michael, tell us, how can people contact you if they're, and I'm going to put your information back up on the screen.
Okay.
But how can people contact you if they are interested in any of the things you've got going on your platform?
Well, they can simply just Google Mike Guinn, and my website will come up. I'm on all streaming platforms. I'm connected to Stephanie on on Facebook, and you can if you can find me that way. But mainly just type in Michael Guinn. I'm on all the platform: LinkedIn, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram. I've got like you mentioned, I've got all those amazing pages: the Texas Speak Now group, the Fort Worth Expressions, the Lab Think Tank, and of course, Mike Guinn Entertainment has a page as well, and of course, 4 other pages for different cities. I always create different pages for, like, I have a California, Las Vegas page. I have an international page with international connections. I have the East Texas page, and I have the North Texas page. So you can't miss me. But if you need me directly, see my agent Stephanie, and she'll hook you
Oh, he said his agent. Listen, up here in the right corner, I am putting this up here.
up.
You need to come out and see Mr. Michael and myself and Mr. Rodriguez. We have a host of other vendors and people that are going to be out. We have a guest speaker that's going to be there. It's going to be an amazing event. Saturday, August the 3rd, at the Dock Bookshop in Fort Worth, Texas. We released the book on July the 1st, but it is the kickoff in person Saturday, August the 3rd, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m. It's a free event, but we know you're going to purchase that book. We are going to autograph the book for you. We're going to take a picture with you. Like, tag, and share the event. Listen, we are just promoting this book. It's not just a book. Let me say that. This is not just a book. This is a project along the lines of what me and Mr. Michael have been talking about tonight. Innocence Taken, which is talking about childhood abuse for the children. In one of the chapters that I wrote, voiceless children. A lot of times, kids don't have a say so. We just have to go with the flow. and everybody doesn't look out for the best interest of children. And so we thank God for healing and overcoming, that we can turn those things around and not be victims but survivors. But that's what we're shedding light on in this book, Innocence Taken. My co-author Rodriguez and I, which he likes to be called Mr. U, so we're gonna call him Mr. U. Um, we are talking about our stories, and Mr. U's story is being born, raised in the foster care system, and he actually aged out of the foster care system. But we both had a lot of childhood trauma and dysfunction, and just some tough stuff. And we actually came together collaborative to tell these stories, because we know that we're not the only people who've been through some stuff. Just like Michael said, he actually has a book as well about childhood trauma. And so we will all be there sharing collectively the launch of this book, and we invite you to come out. Okay. Again, Mr. Michael, thank you so much for being here. If you can just hold on for just a moment, I'm going to go ahead and close us out.
Hey, real
Thank you
quick
for
though.
watching. Go
Can
ahead.
I say what? I just want to say I'm going to
Yes.
see Mr. U Sunday. Sunday, Mr. U is going to be at the Inspiring Women's Gala. I'm going to be introduced. I'm going to be MC there, and so I want to
Okay.
say, hey, Mr. U, how you doing? And to tell you that I'm incredibly proud of you. Thank you so much for all you're doing for the community, not just those who have suffered, but for those who are striving. And I appreciate you so much, and yeah, how brave you are. And can't wait to be your MC for that amazing book launch. It's going to be incredible, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow night as well. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mr. Michael. And thank you guys for tuning in. Like, tag, and share. This has been some very important information that we've talked about tonight. Make sure you reach out to Mr. Michael if you have a desire to be a part of any of these movements that he's got going. If you want to be a part of the open mics, he's got somewhere for you to get plugged in. So get in touch with him, okay? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
If you would like to be a guest on the Stephanie M. Seaton Sunday Show, email Stephanie at stephanieMseatontheauthor@gmail.com.